All right, my people. All right, my people. Oh, what, now we ready. We ready. Oh, there we go. You looking up, brother George? What's going on, my brother? What's going on, my brother? She got ready coming to you live all the way from here. We're here, right? Cheer! Welcome to Ray's Corner Live. Hey, look, I need to get that housekeeping out the way. Hey, all my YouTube people out there, we running this HBO special. We trying to get 1,000 people by February, right? What is an HBO special? Help a brother out. Hit that subscription button, hit that notification button, hit that like button, hit that share button. Oh, hey, my TikTok people, look, if you ain't following us, hey, start following us. Hey, Facebook, you know what time it is. You know what to do. Hey, listen, I am excited tonight. I got my co-host is in the house. In the house. Brother George Morning. Hey, tell him talk to him, baby. Talk to him.
Man,
Yes,
good brother Ray.
indeed.
I am happy, excited to be here today, man. I'm just excited, brother. I'm excited. I'm gonna follow your lead so I don't just sit up here and just ramble and keep talking here, man. But I'm excited to meet with your people today. I'm excited for the co-hosting that I get blessed with to be here once a week, man. So I'm gonna take your lead. You point the direction and we're gonna go that way.
So look, real quick, welcome to Ray's Corner Live. Hey, this is our Tuesday night where men can be men. Hey, for those of you who don't know what this thing is about, I'm getting ready to tell you what this thing is about. This is a space built for honest conversation. I'm trying to tell you, real grown folk stuff, y'all. Real accountability. Let me tell you, here we focus on transforming men's lives through truth, responsibility, and guess what? You can't understand your identity if you don't understand purpose. Ray's Corner Live is for men who are ready to walk in their calling, confront what they've been avoiding, and grow into what they were created to be. We want to engage in deep, George, deep George,
Mhm.
deep, honest conversation about the issues men don't usually like to talk about, like faith, like identity, like failure, like trauma, like leadership, like discipleship, like restoration. I can listen. That was a bar I just dropped because look, this thing is about brotherhood. This thing about faith building. This thing about transparency. We taking off the mask. Ain't no perfumes. Ain't no perfume. Ain't no perfume. Just men sharpening men. We building lives. Stepping forward with clarity and purpose. I'm gonna tell y'all, welcome to Ray's Corner Live, where growth is beginning and purpose is restored. Yes, indeed. Listen. I am so excited. Look. I'm gonna get right with this thing, brother George. Let me just say something. Let me just say something real quick. Let me just say something real quick. I'm just gonna say this real quick. I'm so excited, man. I met this brother, and like we instantly clicked. I mean, brother told me what I'm doing with all that information that you got. If you don't want to tell nobody, and you know what I did? I said, okay, then you need to be co-host on Ray's Corner Line so we both can talk about it. You heard to me? But look, on seriously for the people, like for the people who may not know you yet, sir, just tell us who you are and a little bit about your journey.
Oh man, again, George Morning here, guys. Blessed to be a part to be a co-host here on Ray's Corner. We'll get in definitely a lot into how we met, but it's pretty much exactly as he stated. Just really click from the beginning. But just to answer the question, who is George? What is it that I do? Professionally, everything from a recovery coach to working as a director of intake for admissions, dealing with people who are in recovery, inpatient recovery for addiction. But overall, I'm a person that is in recovery. I'm a person that seeks to help other men in recovery. And I have a tremendous passion for helping men to connect from their dark spaces to faith and being able to use that to help them get to the best part of their life that's still waiting for them. So you mentioned it in actually saying who are you and where you at in this journey, and quite frankly, that's just what I am. I'm in the journey. I shy away from and making sure that I'm not being known as or putting myself out as the guru about something because I'm still learning this game. The best thing I tell people is that I'm a couple steps ahead of you on the same daggone mountain that we're all climbing. I can tell you don't put your foot there, and I can tell you that's a good place for you to hold on to right there. But yeah, I'm just a few steps ahead in the same journey as everybody else.
Yes, indeed. Listen, man, you already started dropping some deep stuff already, man. You recovery. Look. This is a match made in heaven. Everybody know. Like August 6th, I had 28 years clean, and that's one day at a time, just doing what God wants us to do and making that purpose and plan for our life that God has
Hmm.
for us. That we went through training, our training ground that changed everything in our life. Look, let me. So here's another thing I want to ask you. Now I know you just love my personality. I know you just love the way I be flowing. But really, what made you say yes to being part of Ray's Corner Live, and why does this space for men matter to you?
Oh man, that is such a great question. And I'll be honest with you, Ray's Corner was the answer to a prayer that I've been having with God. Believe it or not, you look, I had made a decision once God had, we'll get into breaking this a little bit later, but I had a heck of a summer. I had one heck of a. It was a summer where I was everything from feeling as connected as I could to God to feeling like, okay, you really have forgotten where my address is or where you left me off right now. Like you must be. I don't know if I'm lost to you right now. What's going on? But when I finally started coming out of that season, I asked God. I said, okay, it's obvious that I have this strong. I don't even know if it's a calling or not, but this affinity to want to connect where men are with what we're reading in the Bible, as well as being able to work with men who are in just various spaces of their own recovery. And I was like, God, you help me out with this one position, so I'm getting more focused here, and I would like that you can help me stay in some other areas. And then Ray pops up. Just out of the blue. I just heard this man on a call, Prayer Warriors Global, and I'm listening to him talking. I'm like, And then we had another conversation, and I said, And I'll be honest, before he asked me, I was already thankful. I was like, you know what, God, you finally helped me get. I've told him this. I was like, I feel like I finally got a big brother. I was like, I feel like I finally got the guy that's gonna both irritate me but also move me in the right direction that I need to be moved to. And when he asked me to be a part of Ray's Corner, I'm gonna tell each and every one of you exactly how I felt for me. I was like, I got no problem with that type of paid internship. I said, I'm going to be learning some things from my big bro, and I get a chance to work in tandem with him. So, I have an opportunity now to be able to work with him, to be able to grow, to be able to learn. But even getting to the latter part of your question, what does it mean? What does this space for men mean? And particularly today, with so many voices that are available to us. You've seen this just as big as social media has been growing. Now everybody and their mama has a podcast out right now. They're talking about everything from conspiracy theories to relationships to, what does this mean? This mean? I think it's so important that men have a very real space of being able to communicate and have real conversations, not just about God, like not just the Sunday morning conversations, but a place where we can have a real conversation about faith and discuss it from a real context of what men are going through today and not sugarcoat what it is they're going to experience and also not deviate from what it is exactly the word says. We unfortunate in a day, man, where we like to make things entirely way too comfortable. We have reformatted the Bible about 18 different ways, man. We've made it appeal to this group, make it appeal to this group. Well, what do we got? Is there a Bible for this group that's out here right now? And again, with so many pieces of things out there, I just think it's so great that there's this space where men can hear some very transparent, needed information that they can be able to take and apply, and that's biblically sound.
Man, that was so powerful. And see what and here right at Ray's Corner Live, here's the other thing, right? Like we deal you go to church, you prayer lines, you got men's groups, everything is a counseling session. But what happens after you get delivered? What happens
Mm-hmm.
after you go through your trauma? See, there is things that we are going to take it beyond past after you get delivered. After you get like, what do you do then? You know,
Mm-hmm.
we as men, we're going to go to the family. If we're married, we're going to take care of the family, and then well, that's the beginning. Purpose is past the family. The family is first,
Mm-hmm.
but purpose is past the family. Purpose is past like just getting free. Like those are the beginning steps of what we do. Because like, when you talked about your passion recovery, I'm a recovery, like so the things I went through in life, right, shaped me to who I am now. But more importantly, the things that I thought was depression, trauma, anxiety, which it really was, but when I put a purpose on it, it does not affect my life today. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
we want to get to you at Ray's Quarter Live. Listen, I got a couple of more questions because these people need to get to know you, right? Watch this. Because look, yo, I'm got my questions over here. So if you see me looking over there, that's why I'm over there. And another thing, he said something. You got podcasts popping up, and guess what? Ray's Corner Live been around since 2015. I was doing this. If I would have stayed consistent for all these years,
Mm-hmm.
man, I wouldn't even be. Well, I don't really work now anyway. But
This is what this is
okay,
what
yeah.
living the product of a good life sounds like right now. When someone says, "I don't really work right now," anyways, you
And
know.
you got to remind me on our intro, right? I keep forgetting. Like, I need y'all to go over to Amazon.com, right? And go check out my books from homeless to housing the homeless, housing the homeless from lived experience. And like I got things about homelessness. I got 5 books out there, and then my two favorite like from the streets to strength.
Mm.
Go to Amazon.com. Ray Wilkerson, start buying my books. I had to put that plug in there. Now listen, let me ask you this question. This is gonna be a deep question. I'm telling you. This is gonna be deep. I'm
Hold
just
on,
gonna
let
tell
me
you.
get
I'm,
adjusted
I'm
here. Let
telling
me
you,
get
I'm gonna
adjusted.
do
Get
it
a little
real
sip of
slow.
water real
I'm
quick.
gonna do it real. Yeah, you gonna need it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna take a drink with you, all right? Because I want to make it very clear. Just one. What's one lesson your past taught you that still shapes how you watch this, how you move today? I'm gonna
Man,
say it
brother.
again. I'm gonna say it again. Again, how y'all saying in the South again? We're from New Jersey. Again. What's one lesson your past, not mine, taught you that still shapes, keyword shapes, how you move, keyword move today?
I'll say this, and I'll give the preface that I am still struggling with this day by day. And I know what I'm going to say is going to be difficult for some people, particularly men, to take in, depending on where they are in their own particular journey. And it's the lesson is accepting that where I am today is the place I'm supposed to be. Where I am today is the place. And again, why is that so hard? It's hard because let's just face it, as men, we look at other people to really decide where we should be or how we should live. So we'll look at somebody in the car when we're at the bus stop and we'll say, "Man, I'm supposed to be in the car." We'll look at the person in the house when I'm in an apartment or in a shelter and we say, "Wait, I'm supposed to be there." And heaven forbid you've gone through a recovery journey and you've had some years in it, like there's been years of addiction, years of some consequences, lessons you've had to deal with, and you look up where you are now and you're like, man, I should be so much further ahead. I should be this way. I should be closer with my kids. I should be in this place with the relate. Trust me, where you are is exactly where you need to be. It is exactly where you're supposed to be. And the only thing that prevents most of us from accepting that is that you, like me, may have a difficult time trying to actually pull out the lessons you're supposed to get in the place you're supposed to be. Like you're here for a reason. And even for some of my guys who've experienced relapse multiple times, right? I know you've probably done nothing.
Oh, I was raising
Oh, okay, right there. I was like, oh wait, was that my
it took
pause? Was
me
that my pause? But
no
yeah, like
no
if you're like us and
it
you've
took me 10
experienced
years. Yeah.
relapse a couple different times,
It took me 10 years to get 1 year clean.
yeah, there you go. It's things like that where it's like, wait a minute, I should have this together by now, or I should do this. I promise you, we go in a relapse, yes, because we go back to the substance or the behavior, yes, because we stop doing what we're supposed to do. But I also know that a big part of it is that there's a lesson, a part of us that we have not fully learned about. And so we got to keep revisiting, that space. So it's the acceptance. It almost goes back to looking at the Hebrews when they were freed from Egypt and they had to walk around for 40 years in that wilderness, right? And they complained all the time. And it's like they never accepted where they were. Where they were was where you're supposed to be. And it took time for some of that to die out. And unfortunately and fortunately, it does the same thing on us as individually. Like it takes time for this thing of like I should be someplace else to die out, and you begin appreciating exactly where you are and all of the resources and challenges that come from that space. And again, as I told you all in the beginning, yes, I still struggle with that today. There are days I wake up and I'm like, man, God, you did that. You did that. Like, man, look at my home, look at my dog, look at my career path, look at, I mean, my refrigerator, all these things you've done. And in the blink of an eye, I can go for a simple walk and look at somebody else's environment and say, wait a minute, God, when am I going to get there? Hold on, God. I'm this age right now. We should have checked these boxes already by now. Like, how come I'm still trying to get this done and this done and this done? But it's really been about me having to step back and say, okay, God, I'm exactly where you need me to be. I am here for a reason. This isn't by chance. This isn't because I done fumbled so many things in my life. I'm still here because I'm supposed to be in this exact space. And when I get to the next space that he has for me, guess what? I'm supposed to be there too. So that's just the one thing I hope some of you guys get, whether it's about me or also about yourself, it's the acceptance that where you are is exactly where you are supposed to be.
That was so powerful because like I'm in a place of like, well, first of all, I'm not going to make you feel guilty. I'm not going to allow you to make me feel guilty for where you think I should be.
Mm,
You see, so I am truly comfortable with like where I'm at. Where I'm at is
hmm
where I'm at. Like so, I'm not swayed by where people think I should be, right? And here's what's so deep about this, like this whole thing. I'm gonna share a story today. So I'm in the process of making some business moves, right? And then I'm in the process to align up with this particular city to try to get this contract from these other people because I want to show them y'all don't know what y'all doing. I had today, I got convicted. One, I never prayed to God about if that's something I should do. And secondly, I was doing it out of spite, even though out of spite. But the most important thing is the people that we're supposed to help. So I had to back up, right? Like I had
hmm
to just like back up and say, you know what? I ain't doing nothing. No more conversations about it. Let me ask God, is this something I want to do? So we as men, we sometimes I'll say this all the time. really like lately, and I apply it to myself first. Discern more and respond less. Discern more and respond less.
Mm-hmm.
Be a Berean. Just because you never heard it before, don't mean it's not right. The Bible says, eyes have not seen. Yeah, you never did see it that way. Ears have not heard. Yeah, you never did hear it like that. Entered into the heart. Yeah, you never did. You never felt that way before. And that's the reality. Like to back up and be a Berean, right? In spite of like not always responding as a man because I think I need to give you the answer. And then me as an individual, not allowing me to make decisions based on who or where you think I should be in life. Those 10 years that took me to get clean, all those 10 years was for a reason. If I would have came out of there 5 years, that would have been 5 years of experience that I didn't have for people that I needed to have that experience for to be able to do what I do today. So when I look
Mm-hmm.
at that 10 years to get that 1 year clean, God literally had to take me through every infirmary. He had to take me from Fortune 500 companies to park benches to medium stuff to homelessness to all those things to be able to feel those things and have a mindset of like how I was thinking and what was going on at that time in my mind. Because one thing I do realize for what I do, uh, you really can't if watch this, if you never was on homeless, on drugs and stuff like that, as a case manager, as a social worker, as a person, as a loved one, you can identify my behaviors because you see my behaviors. You can get it like that. You can get it like that.
Yep.
Counselors, you can get it like that. But the one thing I have over most people, because I have a lived experience and you have lived experience, I can see the behavior, but more importantly, I can identify the feelings and the thought pattern.
You know, I love everything you said, and there's two things that I'm hearing when you say it. You're saying the same things, but I love how you spoke about being able to discern rather than than choosing to be in a space of just communicating. And when we talk about this space of relapse, one of the great things that most people understand about relapse is that you finally get to a point of saying, I don't have all the answers. And we need that to help us break free of our own ego because I tell people all the time, there's probably no two louder voices than the voice of the addict and the voice of the newly recovered. Both think they 100% right and know exactly what to do. The person with a couple days to a couple months of recovery, you can't tell them about their recovery plan. They know what to do. They know what to eat. They know where to go to. They know exactly why they relapsed the last 18 times they relapsed. You talk to somebody full blown in addiction, they know exactly what they're doing, why they got pulled over, why they got stopped, why they got caught. It takes us having to go through, and here's another way of even looking at relapse for everybody else watching. Most of us, everybody, not even most of us, all of us need a certain number of failures. Not just to learn from the failures, but to learn that we don't have all the answers to avoid the next failure. So when you go back and you're talking about this space of being able to better discern, then it is the aspect of discerning means I can't go off with my first thought about what I think I'm hearing. I got to step back and wait for more information to hit me. Like I almost have to tell myself, wait a minute, the way I want to first respond, I can't even say that right now because I got to break this down a bit more, whether it's about the word, what I just heard from somebody else. And you don't get that lesson unless you've had a certain number of relapses, a certain number of failures, a certain number of times you thought you heard what God was saying to you clear as day, just to realize, wait a minute, So God wasn't telling me it was okay to get high. That's not what he means when he says he's going to satisfy all of my Okay, so God wasn't so you mean to tell me, God, that you wasn't telling me that was my forever person because the kiss was so great that it reminded me. Isn't that what it says in Song of Solomon? You know how many failures we have to go through before we can start even discerning the word from God the right way, let alone discerning what we're getting from the next man. And we have to have those failures to have the learned experience of it. That's how we're able to look at somebody in recovery, in addiction, and say, okay, I know where you at. No, it's okay. Keep talking. I ain't about to shut you up. I get it. Yep, you're right. You are. I'll see you next week. You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And then when they come back around, it's like, okay, I know you're gonna need a few more times, possibly, because I see where you are right now. So whenever you are done being the right way of this, then we can have a better conversation. And that's when you find the great sponsor-sponsee relationships. That's when, even as a case manager or social worker, you can actually begin to make an impact. We need to get to that space where we have to be able to say, wait a minute, I ain't got the answers, both in our behaviors and in our own faith walk. If we can't get to that space, there is no growing we can do outside. So I'm just glad you broke down and said that, wait a minute, we got to be a Berean here. There's more listening that happens with discerning than it is with me just saying I got the right answers for you right now. So let me just vomit to you what I think you need to hear.
Watch this. My brothers that's listening, here's the thing. When you're talking about relapse, we people always identify relapse with drugs, alcohol.
Mm,
I'm here to tell you, we're gonna expand this thing. How many times you relapsed on them porn movies? How many times you said, "Man, I ain't gonna think about that girl no more"? How many times you relapsed
mm,
on thinking about that girl? How many
mm-hmm,
times you relapsed on fornication? How many times you relapsed on adultery? How many times you relapsed on sugar?
mm. Caffeine.
You see? See, you got to broaden this thing out. Your addiction is not just for drugs, right? So when you talking, so when you're talking about relapsing, falling short, we have to take off this stigma towards drug addicts, alcoholics, because we don't think like we don't have an addiction to something.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers, listen, hear me out, right? What is your thought pattern that's always negative? Think about it. You want to be positive, man. Today I'm gonna be positive. I ain't gonna cuss today. I'm telling you I'm gonna do it, and then bam, you cuss. How many times have you relapsed on things like that you've been relapsing on like all your life? Right? So I want to make sure we have a clear understanding. When you hear that word relapse, how do I apply that thing to my see if I never think relapse is applied to myself, then guess what? I can never identify the things that I'm relapsing on because I don't believe it's like a relapse.
You want to know why this just got real good?
Go ahead.
You want to know why this is why this just got real good because again, this is a conversation that is often avoided in the majority of recovery circles about the holistic approach to your recovery. Listen, I have, and I want to make this very clear before I say what I'm gonna really say. I have gained so much from 12-step meetings. I have gained so much from my AA meetings. I have gained so much from my sponsors. I have gained so much from the people that have been in those rooms, who have shared, who have expressed their struggles, their growths, their wins, their losses. Like I can go on and on about my experience stepping into these rooms. But this is where that's why I want to give that disclaimer out first. Got me sounding like Stephen A talking about LeBron right now. You guys are great. You're wonderful people. You do a wonderful job, the whole nine. But going back to what you just said, can I tell you, it always was a struggle for me. And because I've had this conversation, you will go to an AA meeting And there's always three things you will find present at almost every single 12-step meeting. You are going to find some type of sugary substance to eat. You are going to find coffee seamlessly with a bottomless pot. And you are going to find the outside area for the smoking section. Every single meeting you're going to find. Now, I remember so clearly I had a conversation with my dad. And he's been in recovery too. I was going to meetings with him, and I remember we had this. I said, Dad, listen, because he goes to the gym. I like to go to the gym, so I'm like, okay, but he still does his own cigars things or whatever. And I would talk to him about things like, like you mentioned before, there's sex, there's sugar, there's caffeine, there's nicotine. I'm like, how everybody just jumping into these other things? Like, my sponsor, God bless him, I love him, but definitely was an obese man. And everybody, the response I got back from everybody was, hey, the goal is just don't drink. And I said, okay, I get it. Don't drink. Don't do drugs. I understand that. But when did that give you the permission that says I don't have to worry about these other areas in my life? I don't have to worry about my sex life because I'm worried about my drinking and my drugging. I don't got to worry about my diabetes, my sugar intake because hey, listen, one day at a time, I'm not drinking or drugging. And listen, don't talk to me about my nicotine because these cigarettes don't mean nothing because guess what? I just had another day of not drinking or drugging. And again, this is an important conversation because a big part of recovery that I think we often overlook is the breaking of our ego slash arrogance that we carry into our own recovery journey. We get to this space and listen, I don't say this judgmental at all. Trust me, I said this. Listen, guys, all right, we could be transparent right now. Let me tell y'all why I love and I also can't stand this man that I'm on this podcast with right now. I'm
Go
gonna
and
let y'all have it. I'm gonna let you have a little bit of insight. I ain't gonna tell y'all
tell it.
everything about me. Y'all gonna hear this right here. I messed around while this man was in the room with his wife. And I said, this is transparency. This is what I'm telling you. This isn't a judgment thing. I'm telling you guys right now. I said to this man, you know what? I'm just happy that, man, I'm like finally starting to have sex the right way. Now, here's what I meant when I said that I'm not lying to anybody, that it's with one person in a relationship. There's no deceit going on around it. Like this is all on the up and up. We're communicating, all these things. You know what his response to me was? Oh, I didn't know you was married. Slow down. Wait, stop. Hold. He said, because, well, I'm sorry. Well, look, you told me that you was having sex the right way. I just didn't know you was married because isn't that what the right, like, let's just look at how are you defining the right way? Maybe I got the wrong definition. And it was in that moment while we're having the same conversation that it was exposed to me. That's why I told you all beforehand, not the guru. I'm a couple steps ahead of you guys. That's why I told you guys beforehand. Listen, I'm just here to let you know I'm still in the same journey with you guys right now because it took my big brother as much as I thought I've grown in my recovery, as much as I said, look, I'm not hiding, I'm not cheating, I'm not being deceptive, there's no quote unquote gaslighting, there's no manipulation happening. It took him to point out to me, wait a minute, you said the right way, but you're not doing it this way. And listen, there's a lot of people watching this right now that would say, hold on, slow up. Like, you mean to tell me, I mean, me and my girl been together for 8 years, but you mean to tell me just because we ain't said two words like I do to each other that we all of a sudden having sex the wrong way? So I'm not here to step into each person's bedroom, but I am here to say that when he said that to me, that convicted in me because that hit a part of me that let me know, wait a minute, You got arrogant in this one space simply because you have been making growths in these other areas of life. So, for anybody listening right now, here's the deal about you in your bedroom. If this ain't touch you a particular way, and you look over at your baby and you said, "Oh, we good to go," then you be good to go. But if this did hit you in your spirit and you all of a sudden are feeling convicted to defend yourself, or you're wondering now, you're questioning your own relationship, well, stay on board for conversations like this and more. Because these are the kind of areas you're going to be dipping into. Because when Ray talks about this holistic approach to recovery, listen, that's not a commonplace conversation. It's a common ideology. It's not a common practice. That's why we still find people who will go to AA meetings who have been sober for decades and are still talking about how they just ended another relationship because of how they operated with their sex life. They're still talking about how they just had this surgery because their knee can't support their body weight anymore. They're still talking about how they're having to deal with these other health issues because again they just focused on this one area. So again, I ain't gonna take over everything here, but you called me out without calling me out. You did the little sideways call out, right? I was like, he did not just go holistic in the mid. That's not near one of the questions that you presented here as he was going to come into this. I said he just pulled an audible right now, and I told y'all I'll be transparent in the beginning. I said he done made me have to spill this in the first one. I thought I was going to be at least a third podcast, then I was going to talk about this kind of stuff.
So look, before I go to the next question, I want to say this because we got to talk about recovery. I'm saved, born again, love the Lord, preacher, all that good stuff, right? Brothers, I went to NA for almost 15, 16 years consistently, one day at a time. I'm 28 years clean. I spoke at an NA meeting like online about 4 or 5 weeks ago. That's the first time I spoke at an NA meeting like 5, 6 years, something like that. I go to church. I'm saved. I'm born again. But my path to deliverance was through NA. My path through deliverance was 10 years to get 1 year clean.
Mm-hmm.
My path through was that I had to go to NA, and even at NA, I wasn't what they say. I wasn't a guy who came and got it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I go to church. I won't listen, brothers. Some of y'all that's going to church and you might be struggling. I know people don't like to use the word struggle, but guess what? You're struggling. You're backsliding. You're trying to do it just by church, and church is can be done for some people, but it just wasn't done for me by
Mm-hmm.
itself. I go to church now. I mean, I don't go to NA because NA taught me how to live. Because what the church didn't have for me was people who could identify with my feelings and my thought patterns of using. They could not. God places people and things in our path, and you have to be comfortable with your walk and the process that you have, because everybody's process is different, and people will try to make you feel soft or weak because of the step or the road that you take. My road is so powerful because I was able to, like, that first 10 years, I kept getting, now you talked about back then you could smoke in the building, but I kept getting these crazy sponsors. It was hardcore. But then my last sponsor was spiritual. He was saved. He was born again. And the first thing I realized is I was picking sponsors based on persona, based on this guy was really profound.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me years to realize I needed to pick a sponsor who I could relate to and was walking the same journey that I didn't know how to walk with God. So I wanted to say that I'm getting to this next question, but I want to make sure that you listen. Do not allow people to make you walk away, because the pain that you have trying to do it somebody else's way, they don't feel. They don't feel that pain of relapsing. And you coming back in the church and they looking at you crazy. You come back and you going to the altar, you going to the altar, you going to the altar, and then all of a sudden somebody says, "Man, you just need more Jesus. Stop coming to the altar."
Mm.
Because you have been convinced you don't need NA or any type of support group, or you don't need therapy. You need what God has placed for you, because God has a purpose and plan for your life. Here's what's so powerful about the purpose and plan that God has for your life. He allows us to participate with his purpose because it's his purpose, and he just uses us for his purpose in our life. So I'm getting ready to go to this next question. And that just was in my, because when I was like, people, you say you don't need NA, and people, church folk, I'm not church bashing now, and you on these men group, don't fall for that. Because if you still getting high based on how they telling you, then something wrong. If you keep relapsing on whatever that thing is, right? Because you might just need therapy. It might be trauma, depression, anxiety. I'm just, unfortunately for me, I had to get rid of the drugs first, and then the depression and anxiety and all that. Let me tell you
Mm-hmm.
something. I'm gonna say this, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely gonna move on. Let me tell you something. Anxiety, depression, trauma never bothered me because I became immune to it because it was common for me.
Mm.
I became, when I was at peace and when things weren't going right, I had to get up and I had to go get into something because being at peace was abnormal for me during those times of those 20 years. So I could be sitting there and just at peace watching TV, then just chilling, got some food, and then all of a sudden, like, it's too peaceful. Let me go get a hit. And all hell will break loose. Now I'm going to my next question. That's real important, brothers. Like, and I'm gonna say it again. Stop allowing people to make you feel guilty about the way that God wants you to walk. Next question. When it comes to men, my brother, when it comes to men, faith and purpose, what's a conversation? Oh my God. Oh, ooh, ooh. What's a conversation you feel men are avoiding but need to have?
I remember this, I was looking at this question, and you just touched on so many great points in what you just mentioned. Um, and I actually hope I can intermingle my response to what you just got done talking about with the question that you just gave. So, number one, just looking at the question you just gave, and the number one issue, with men, where they are in life, and faith and religion, is that I don't think I think there's an absence today of really being able to not just know God's word in the now, but also what is the application of God's word individually. Like each person. And I say that because that ties in to what you just mentioned, because there is this widespread false ideology, particularly when it comes to church, when it comes to religion, comes to faith, that says everybody's experience with God has to be the exact same way. You only can experience God a particular way. You can only experience recovery a particular way. No, listen. God specifically operates with you. We get so confused today reading the pieces from the Bible, the chapters. We learn about different people. Everybody can talk about David. Everybody knows about Job. Everybody knows about Solomon. Everybody knows about Samson. Everybody knows about Abraham. Knows about Jesus, Peter, Paul. Very few can say, what does that look like in my life today? Like, what is the application out of this today? And what we do end up having is more people, particularly men, who are running around with the examples from the Bible in their head instead of their own personal standards from the Bible in their spirit. So we got men out here
Say that
right
again. Whoa,
now.
whoa,
You
whoa,
you
whoa, 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 whoa. Say that again. No, you don't gloss over that. Say that again.
we got a lot of men today who are more consumed with the examples that we get from the Bible rather than the standards we need to apply from the is what you was talking about earlier. We just say we had a nice little convo about having sex the quote unquote right way. Well, let me tell you how I got to this place because the example I saw in the Bible was David. Went out here, had a whole plot, saw a woman, she looked beautiful. But what do most men who operate in that same space take away from the example of David? We don't look at David and his children and what happened to his generations. We don't ever bring that kind of stuff up. What we do say though is that, well, David was a man after God's own heart, so I guess it's okay with me. Because that's what the example in the Bible gave me. The example in the Bible just, I mean, it is wrong. It is so wrong for me to look on my neighbor's wife. Absolutely. I'm not saying that's not a commandment that God gave. But God also said that the cheater had a heart that was most like him. So because of this example in the Bible, okay, I'm David right now then. I'm one of God's people. I had a conversation with a brother the other day. I said, right now, there's a man in Jamaica who was once wealthy before the hurricane came. He probably lost his businesses, lost a couple family members. Do you think he read the book of Job, created a fire, sat in a pit, and just cut his boils and filled it with ash, waiting on a couple friends to come around and talk some trash, and then God going to restore everything double twice? You think it's happening for the man in Jamaica right now who just went through the hurricane? No, that's because we look at the examples. Everybody, the Job is the example God used. That's not the standard. The standard comes from the lessons that he had to go through and what he got out of that. His outcomes is Job's outcomes. That's Job's outcomes. That's Job. That's not John. That's not Terry. That's not Jamal. That's not George. That's not Ray. David, yes, he went out and slept with somebody and inherited a wonderful kingdom and even messed around and had a child that was so great and had all these riches. Sir, I'm sorry. That's David and Bathsheba. That is not Tyrone and Lisa from apartment 2C. That ain't how this game works. That's not it. And we have too many men today that are more willing to adopt the example that we get from the Bible rather than the actual standard and what that means in our lives today. I mean, again, that's why we can have these open conversations. And I'm so glad that I got somebody like Ray in my corner. I need somebody like him. Going back to discernment and trust. I'm so glad I have messed up in life enough times to know I'm not right. So when I think I said something like I'm having sex the right way, and I have a brother like you that steps and says, "Oh, wait a minute," because that means if you're doing it the right way, then that means you're this. And George is over here operating off of somebody's example, not the standard. The standard is this. The examples can be all over the place, but that's not what we need to do. So again, to answer your question, brother, today I think the biggest thing that we face as an impact is that and again, this is me. I say it because it was me. I went through what I went through reading the Bible and like, well, you did this for David. How come you're not doing it yet? You did this for Job. You did this for this. You did this for this person. How come you're not doing it for me? George is looking at the examples, waiting for the examples to appear in my life. George was not trying to sit up here and pay attention to the standards that I needed to implement in my life.
Man, you just dropped. Listen, man, this hour done shot by, but I gotta get this man. Man, listen, y'all need to hit that like, share button, hit the comment section, and say, man, that brother just dropped some nuggets, dropped some gold nuggets. We ain't the church, but you sure can send a love offering. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. This is my last question. I'm gonna ask you this last question, and then after that, give me a closing remark. So, man, because the show's supposed to be an hour, but I don't know. We, we might have to do an hour and a half. We will see. But here's my last question.
Little after party, slight after
Yeah,
party.
that's
Hang
how
out
we
with us
gonna
some.
do it. What can the audience expect from you in this season as a co-host, and what do you hope men walk away with?
Oh man, I'll keep this real easy. You can just expect a little bit of laughter with a lot of transparency. Like I am still a work in progress. And one of the things I pride myself on, again, is not presenting to you as the architect of a great work, but as the product of it. So as I grow, I need you all to grow. I want you all to get the exact same experiences out of it. So we may chuckle it up a little bit here, but ultimately you can always expect transparency, coming from me. Um, and I think the your next one was you said a closing remark.
Yeah. What drop some nuggets or something because let me interject for 1 second because I keep hearing you say transparency. So I believe in our production meeting this week, at least for the first 30 minutes of next week's show, we're going to talk about the difference between transparency and being vulnerable as men
Ooh, oh,
because
that's
it
gonna
is a
be good.
difference. And
That's
I'm
gonna be
just going to
good.
hit you with a little thing, men. If you're vulnerable, be careful you're vulnerable with. But really, man, you shouldn't be vulnerable because vulnerable is a sign of weakness. So we're going to have a serious conversation because
Ooh,
I know what I just said. He's going to come back with some stuff because vulnerability, like if it puts me in a dangerous spot where I can't protect my family. But go ahead, get your closing remarks.
he says that, and he's like, "No, we're gonna do closing remarks, right?" I was like, "Wait, that's a whole other podcast we're gonna do right there." But listen, closing remarks. Number one, I am truly just honored and blessed to be in the environment with you, brother. That like number one, I want to just make sure that is expressed. Number two, I am honored and blessed to be able to share with your audience, the growing audience that we're going to have. I mean, brother, you talked about 1,000 before, man. You selling yourself short. You selling yourself short, man. This is easy. 10,000, 100,000. Within a year's time frame right now. He has only begun the good work. He ain't finished his good work out yet. So them numbers you alone need to be in a different space expectation wise. And then last but definitely not least, I believe in wanting to hear from you guys and responding to you guys. So listen, you watch the video, drop a comment, drop a question, drop your insight. Tell me what you agree. Tell me what you disagree on. That's how we grow in this process, not from choosing to conform, but being able to have the challenging levels of fellowship that men need to have so that we can start making these rough edges that we have smooth. That's how this process happens. We have to have some friction here. So bring the friction. It's got to be something. That's how these rough edges get smooth, brother. Rubbing up against each other like this. This is how we really build fellowship. This is how we really build community. So I'm looking forward to hearing you guys, and I'm just blessed to be in this circle.
Amen. Look, hey, this guy right coming to you live all the way from here. Where's here? Right here, aka Silk Wilk with GC. Is it GC?
Coach G.
Coach G. Coach G. So Coach G, listen, Coach G is in the house. The Flyers will have his picture on it. He just sent them over today. I'm going to tell him he was supposed to send it to me like last week. I didn't really care. So I personally just dropped the flyer in places that we be at with
The
just my
moment I
face
say
on it.
transparency, he has dropped so
With
many pieces of
my
dirt
face
about me.
only had my face on it. It only had my face on it. I'm just saying it, just my face. But look, listen, listen, you guys follow us if you enjoyed today's topic. Listen, just put in the comment section, man, that was powerful. That was powerful. And just hit the subscribe button, notification button, like button, share button, all that stuff that y'all know y'all supposed to do. But look, I'm gonna tell you real quick. I'm gonna tell you real quick, right? I'm gonna tell you real quick. God loves you, and we love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Peace out. Until next week. Ray's Corner Live. We out of here.